You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. You wanted it, you got it. A radio program that helps teach you options trading inside and out, basic to complex. This is Options Bootcamp. Whether you want to learn how to protect your portfolio, generate income, or even become a master of volatility, the Options Bootcamp drill instructors will break it all down for you. Now, let's get you into peak options trading shape. Here are your Options Bootcamp drill instructors.
All right, everybody, let's do it. Let's get into it. It is Education Wednesday. It is time, once again, for Options Bootcamp, the epic, the legendary educational program out there. Dare I say it, the premier educational program out there in the world of options. Glad to see so many of you are enjoying it, liking what you hear. Remember, if you like what you hear, no matter where you get it, keep rating and reviewing it out there. And, of course, if you want to up your game, get it in your ear holes immediately, you can go to the Plus. Or if you want to get live streams as well as, of course, access to some exclusive content, our pro Q&As. We know you folks have a lot of questions, so I got to imagine our pro Q&As would really resonate with this audience, as well as our returned, refurbished, revitalized Options Oddities program. So you're getting 2 extra shows a week, listeners. Pretty cool stuff. Check out theoptionsinsider.com/plus or /pro. Whatever floats your boat over there. We got a way for everyone to pretty much enjoy the show after the fact, on demand, like the regular way. You want to get it live, you can go Plus. So if you want to go live and above and beyond with more shows and more Q's and A's, then, of course, Pro is the way to go. And however you listen, again, keep rating, reviewing, really does help the show. And, of course, keep sending those questions in. That's how we do episodes like this, where you folks take the reins. You guys are certainly not reticent to hit us up with your questions. And let's see who we have. Once again, listeners, he has figured out the secret showtime here. We are joined once again by the black-hatted one, Mr. Dan Passarelli from Market Taker Mentoring. He is inescapable here on the program. Dan, congratulations once again. You have discovered when we are recording the show, sir.
Yes. And by the way, now that you're mentioning that, everybody, next week we're doing it on Tuesday. Did your management fill you in on that?
All sorts of crazy stuff going on next week. Stay tuned for that. As speaking of crazy stuff, let's see what crazy stuff you folks have in store for us. It is time for the mail call.
Mail call. Time to look at questions submitted by our listeners.
All right, let's get into it, Dan. Dan, you're going to like it today. You're getting a lot of love from the audience here. We got Jay's here, first off, writing in, just saying, I like the rock music on Dan's videos. So I'm guessing he's talking about, I think, the before and after, those little videos you put out. Is that, are those Passarelli custom specials, sir? Is that your own music on those?
No. I searched high and low for some good rockin' tunes, and I came across them. Not my own. I have used some original music on a couple of things that I did long ago in the past, but not anymore.
Yeah, for those of you listeners who don't know, Dan, when he's not talking options, is out there plucking the 6th string. Quite the musician over there, as well as the vocalist. Give us a taste of your vocals, sir.
Yeah. Well, let me correct you. Actually, it's the 4-string. I play the bass because I don't know what to do with more than 4 strings.
The extra 2, forget about it. You're out then. No. I can actually say I have seen Dan play live, listeners. It was quite the experience. So if it ever happens again, if live performances come back and Dan's doing that, and you're down in the Frankfurt area, I encourage you to check him out live. But Mr. Dan, I know you've been busy since the last time we chatted, talking to your folks over there at MTM, doing a lot of mentoring, a lot of hand-holding, answering a lot of questions. What's been lighting up your tape? What's kind of a cool question that popped up on the radar over there at MTM since our last show, sir?
Well, this is a question that I got just a few days ago that I thought was just so telling. And, it was a newer trader, right? Like somebody who's just kind of getting into it, who we love over here because we like to prevent you from getting bad habits early on. And the question is, what's the most important thing I need to know about trading? And that is like discipline, trade management, and getting your head right, which is kind of all the same thing, really. Discipline, trade management, and getting your head right. And I know I mentioned this to you after the last show, Mark, about maybe doing like a mindset episode, and I want to do that. I think I was supposed to send you over some bullet points, which I never did, so I think it's my fault. But I want to plan a mindset episode. I feel like that's really the absolute 100% most important thing when it comes to trading.
I think we can do that. Maybe a special, like, double-length episode. What do you think? To really go deep, the full hour on all things probing the depths of the brain there, Dan. What do you think?
Yeah. That sounds really, really great. I've been spending a lot of time working on this. We just did a psychology boot camp yesterday. So, yeah, that'll be great.
This will be good. We'll unleash some childhood traumas. It'll be some tears. It'll be good. It'll be a fun time for all involved listeners. So look forward to that coming to the Options Boot Camp feed soon. You're getting a lot of questions here, Dan. I can just sit back and relax. This is kind of nice. Next up, we've got, before we do that, let's go to the live chat. We got Options Queen, one of our pro members, listening live right now. She said, just read Dan's book, Trading Options Greeks. Very helpful. Well, there you go, Dan. Our pro listeners getting converted to the dark side. I can't speak to her taste, but what do you say for that, sir?
Oh, that's great. Hey, thank you for reading. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it. At least my time spent writing wasn't all for naught. Thank you, Queen. I appreciate it.
There you go. You have educated Options Queen. Your work is complete. You can now rest, sir. Well done. All right, next up, we've got Tim. More stuff for Dan. I like this. I'm going to take a break today. Mark, take a break show. He says, hey, Dan, ! Have you given up trying to sell those AMC 145 calls, or did you figure out a way to avoid the extra margin requirements? Easy for me to say. I see that they are still trading pretty heavy every week. Thanks and love the show. Well, Dan, this is kind of a talking point we had on the show a few weeks back about, the insanity of what was going on up there in the upside of AMC. People were trading, the highest strike call that was listed, the 145, even though the stock was, close to 100 points below that. Now it is even less. It's down to 35. So it's even lower than that level. It's well over 100 handles below that 145 strike. Yet, as he points out, those 145s continue to trade. I believe when we checked in on them on Options Oddities last Friday, of the top 10 open positions in AMC, 3 or 4 of them, I do believe, so around 40% were still in the 145 strike for size, 30, 40 plus thousand contracts open. So these are still trading out there, Mr. Dan. What are your thoughts on them? Have they evolved at all? And have you continued to try to trade these?
No, because the trade there is kind of gone at this point, which might seem kind of like a weird statement, like, hey, we're even further away. Aren't they even safer? And on the one hand, yes, they are. But, I look at it now, I'm looking at it right now. The 145 calls, well, the ones for 2 days are a penny bid. That's kind of silly. In fact, the 115 calls are a penny bid. little arbitrage. There's a little arbitrage actually going on here somewhere. In fact, you can do a pretty cheap spec for a penny by
free trades all day, baby. We're all about it here.
I know, like, especially if you're not paying commissions. We were talking about Robinhood last time. I mean, you could literally buy the 90 calls for 4 cents and sell the 95 calls for 3 cents. I mean, do that 100 times with no commissions. You're paying $100 and you can turn into $400 if it works out.
So we'll do that. We'll do that. Then you and I will go just swamp Wall Street bets with all these rumors that AMC is being acquired by Apple. Bam. There you go. Free money. We're printing it, sir.
Yeah, there used to be a time when that was illegal. In fact, I think it still is, but they just don't enforce it anymore. In fact,
it's just you and me talking. Just two guys talking. No one's listening.
Yeah, exactly. No, but you know what? Like, what the real thing is there is you can't you just can't get enough premium. If you go to the 9 days out, it's 15 cents. Like, I was literally selling that strike for over $1. And granted, the implied volatility is still high, but it was even higher then. So, yeah, I mean, even going down to the 80 strike, all you're getting is 34 cents. It doesn't make sense like it did when I was doing it.
Yeah, $1 was nice. A lot of things have happened. The vol has come in. It's moved away from that strike. And one of the other challenges of doing that, as you pointed out, is you had to have something on against it. And if you had the stock on, obviously that was not exactly a winner. No matter how many dollars you were collecting per week on those 145s, you lost 4 today, just today on AMC. So that was a rough road. If you had some meatier in the money calls against it, you lost money on those. So it was a challenge having the other leg to free up the ability to sell those 145 calls. That's kind of where you got bit out there these days. So it wasn't just the free money that it may have seemed like. And certainly what money there was there on that strike seems to have faded away a bit. All right. Next up, we got Dan M. Maybe your cousin here, Dan. Dan M. says, thanks for doing your explainer episode on the Robinhood FINRA mess. Well, you're welcome, Dan M. He says, that firm is a disaster. I tried them out about a year ago and encountered many of the same issues described in that regulatory filing. I would encourage everyone to stay away from them. You guys did the right thing by shining a spotlight on their shady practices. Keep fighting the good fight. Well, yeah, we're not here to kick anyone when they're down or anything like that. But a firm like Robinhood, they kind of made their own bed. They launched themselves look at the name, Robinhood. It's all about, steal from the rich to give to the poor. That's kind of the ethos around which they were founded. And it turns out they were kind of doing the opposite. And when people see that, they don't like a hypocrite, let alone one that is literally taking money from them. And FINRA, leveled historic fines against them. The SEC, the same. We kind of have to comment on it. People are always asking us, what brokers do we like? What brokers do we reckon? I think we have another one about that a little bit later today. And we can't in good conscience steer someone towards a brokerage firm that has had multiple historic fines leveled against it just in the past year or so. That we wouldn't be doing our due diligence as educators and options informers and analysts if we were doing that. There are many, many preferable choices to that. So I'm sorry to hear about your problems, Dan. Hopefully they weren't too painful or too costly for you. Hopefully you found a better broker in the interim. I'm curious, the other Dan P., what are your thoughts on this? Have you heard from any of your students since we did that episode about any of their thoughts? Have any of them had any experiences along this line, Dan, of some bad times with Robinhood, sir?
We don't have a lot of Robinhood traders. I know we've got a couple, but overall, no. I mean, you kind of get what you pay for sometimes. I mean, like a lot of most firms, maybe all firms have this payment for order flow that, is this inherent conflict. But yeah, I don't know. I don't use it in my classes. And so maybe that means I'm setting the tone for others, intentionally or not intentionally. But yeah, we honestly just don't have a whole bunch of Robinhood users.
So you're saying you're attracting the smart crowd then there, Dan. There you go. Well done. Well done for you there, sir. I think it's like the Robinhood stuff kind of opens some floodgates here. We got another one here from NNZ wants to know, is it uncommon for brokers to use bots or some level of automation to approve new trading accounts? Or is Robinhood the outlier for their sole reliance on bots? Thanks. So, this interesting question. I just found out I might be doing a fun live show with Mr. Overby, kind of another surprise live OPR huddle, maybe today. So if that's the case, I will ask him this, because he's our go-to broker representative about, what level of automation they use. I don't think some level of automation is to be expected. You're getting a lot of accounts being applications all the time, especially on the massive platforms, your TDs and Schwabs and things like that. They have to do some sort of filtration on that top level. What you expect, first off, you expect, if you are going to implement some level of automation, is that for it to be good and competent. And clearly the Robinhood bots were woefully incompetent. So that was the first problem. They used bad automation. People could come in and game the system. You get rejected. You see exactly what you did wrong. You come back 30 seconds later. You change those answers, and now you're approved. Imagine if you could take a test like that back in, grade school. Oh, here's what you got wrong, kid. And you could just change them and hand it back into the teachers. Oh, there you go, 100. Imagine that. So that's what Robinhood was doing. So that was the first problem. And the second problem is, if you are going to do that, you expect a strict, high level of oversight from actual humans who are actually well-versed and registered in the options product, and they also dropped the ball there. So their front gatekeeper of the bots was faulty, and then on top of that, they didn't really have any humans overseeing it. The numbers that FINRA cited, something like 20 accounts a week were reviewed by actual humans out of the thousands, maybe tens of thousands that Robinhood was getting a week. So there you go. That's a compounding of errors. They didn't filter you or do anything really good at the front to stop the bad accounts from coming in. And then they didn't review it on top of it, have anyone really versed in the options product sit down and actually say, these are bad, these are good. So it was just a compounding of errors on every level. I think that was really the problem. Dan, is that your takeaway as well?
Yeah. I mean, I'm in agreement with you on some of the stuff you just said. I mean, as far as like me having insight as for, is it uncommon or common for brokers to use bots? I don't know. I mean, it's been so long since I've worked at a brokerage firm, which I only did really briefly anyway. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know how they do it anymore, but yeah, I mean, I suspect there has to be some automation for these companies who are getting hundreds or thousands of accounts a day. But that's just me shooting the breeze over here. I don't know.
All right, we got more on Robinhood. We're not done with Robinhood, Dan. Tina wants to know. She said, I love the Robinhood show. Well, thank you. She says, that was very helpful to me since I'm in the process of looking for an options broker. They are clearly off my radar now. Well, I'm glad to hear that. You have a lot of choices in the brokerage realm. You don't need to choose a firm that was fined record amounts. That's just smart business there. So she goes on to say, so where would you suggest as a good broker for a beginner options trader? I would mostly like to sell covered calls to start with, but eventually graduate to some option buying strategies like call verticals and maybe butterflies. Well, Dan, this is kind of a frequent question. We haven't really revisited it in a little while here on the show, so maybe a good time to do that. I think we can both agree Robinhood probably not the best starting point for your options journey. But you get this question a lot over there at MTM as well. Where do you tend to direct people, sir?
Well, I mean, I have my two main accounts are with Fidelity, where I have my IRA, and Thinkorswim, where I have my active trading. I have accounts at a couple other places, but those are the two that I trade with the most. And Fidelity, like if you're a beginner, Fidelity's platform, not totally fancy. It gives you all the things that you need, fairly simple to use. Pretty straightforward. I do covered calls in there all the darn time, cash secured puts. Thinkorswim has a lot more tools on there. It's got so many bells and whistles. I don't even know how to use half of it, but the powerful stuff that they do have that I need for my trading is there. So, I mean, those are two I like a lot.
It's funny. You could tell great minds think alike. Those are exactly the two I was about to say as well, Dan. And, funny, Fidelity may surprise some people. And let me put the caveat out there. We have, there are no broker sponsors on the network right now. So we have no relationships with any of these firms. We have worked with all of them in the past, but there's no one right now. So even if there were, I would still say the same thing. But in general, that's one of the things that surprised me, because when the Fidelity folks approached us to become partners on our Option Block show, I was like, Fidelity, options? And then I kind of got to learn what they had on offer and what team they had there. And they used to bring that team on quite a bit. And they actually had a pretty deep bench from an options expertise perspective. And so I was kind of impressed with the offering. So if you are a newer options trader, particularly if you're like Dan, you probably have some legacy accounts at Fidelity already. That's one of the other reasons why I recommend it. Everyone seems to have some sort of legacy Fidelity account. So it isn't an onerous thing to turn on the options trading on your account. And I think you'll be kind of pleasantly surprised with the offering that they have for you. I actually know some of the guys over there on their trading desk now and execution desk who you can actually call up, like Colin, the Song of Ice and Fire, and all these other guys who are on the show, The Last Emperor, all these guys, Constantine, who are on the show with us for many years there, are knowledgeable and well-versed, and they have regular webinars and sessions for all of their clients all the time. So if you want to get some options education, a little bit of better experience, you could do worse these days than Fidelity. They all have kind of the same basic commission structure now, so you're not really saving much going to one firm or the other. So look for the platform, look for the educational offering and the execution. And Fidelity is actually probably going to surprise you. They're better than I think anyone would expect, which is a good thing. And so if you have a legacy IRA with them, you want to start maybe dipping your toes into some options, I could definitely recommend Fidelity as a good starting point. TOS, like I said, Dan, TOS kind of used to be the gold standard out there in terms of all the bells and whistles. And don't get me wrong, it's still a good platform. There's just some question marks for it now, particularly now that it has moved into the realm of Schwab. Schwab, infamously bought Options Express back in the day and didn't do the best job really of managing that platform. And they've never really given an inclination, at least to me, that options are a priority for them. So a lot of us have been a little bit concerned that they might do the same thing to the TOS platform, maybe not update it as frequently, not really give it as much in terms of bells and whistles. And I was actually kind of surprised. I was doing this for our Options Oddity show the other day. I'm kind of checking out some scanning options on different platforms. That's an unusual activity-based show. So I was playing around with the TOS platform. I haven't used it in a while. And I was kind of underwhelmed, actually, with the scanning options that they provided to their clients. And that kind of made me wonder, maybe we are starting to see a little bit of the cracks in the TOS platform, because it used to be a no-brainer. Here, go use TOS. They have all the bells and whistles. It's really a great place. It's a little bit overwhelming maybe for some of the beginners. But if you can figure out what you want, like Tina sounds like she wants covered calls and things. I don't know. Dan, have you encountered that at all? Have you, since the Schwab merger, any changes in your perception of the platform?
I don't know if I notice too much. I mean, sometimes it can be a little slow, which is troubling. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the Schwab merger or not. The scanners, I mean, the scanners, there's some robustness to it. If you program it, like we've got a couple of scans that we've designed, they're proprietary scans that are great, but as far as what's there canned, there is some good stuff, but like it's very lacking in volatility scans. And I think that that's always been the case. Like I wish that they were a little bit more robust with some volatility stuff, but I mean, I'm not going to beat them up and kick them in the nuts too bad. I mean, I still think that if they're not the gold standard, they're pretty darn close. There's definitely not one perfect platform that has everything that I want and doesn't have all the things that I don't want. Like, that's just not the case. Probably never will be. But I mean, I am a fan of TOS for sure.
Oh, just kick him in the nuts, Dan. Go for it. Why not? I think you're right. The potential to program your own scans, that is robust. That has not flagged. I'll give you that. But I think for a lot of the audience of this show, they want some pre-canned stuff, right? They're not really capable yet of programming their own scan. And for that offering, I was surprised was a little bit less robust, or I should say really a lot less robust. So there you go. Oh, by the way, Tina, there is one I could probably warn you away from outside of Robinhood, which you already have done. If you're an absolute beginner, do not go to Interactive Brokers. And, Petterfee, to his credit, will say he doesn't want you. He doesn't want that beginner. His platform is not designed for beginners. It's low cost. It's got some great functionality, great other stuff. But he wants people who know what they're doing. He doesn't want to spend money on you as a customer support. That's just a wasted expense to him and the team there. So they don't They're not going to hold your hand at all. So if you want some hand holding, do not go to IB. It's not the place for you. Once you graduate a little bit, get to understand the product a little bit better, then of course IB can be a great place to trade. But in your early days, I would stay far away from IB. All right, let's go. Let's do one more here, Dan. Let's go to Colin. Colin Gilchrist. He says, "Hi guys. I've been working my way through OBC." See, Dan, the cool kids say OBC. This /OB stuff, that's for the birds. He says, "through OBC and loving the show." Well, thank you, Colin. He goes on to say, "I found Dan's books on Amazon and added them to the old wish list. Are there other books that you guys would recommend? I'm looking for a playbook style book, so I have a basic rule structure for my trades. There are a lot of option playbook style books, but I am curious which you would recommend, as I am sure there are a lot of books with questionable quality. Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work, Colin." Colin, when I got your email and I saw it when our producers forwarded it to me, I thought it was a joke at first because, as you may not be aware, we do a program on this network called the Options Playbook. In fact, it's coming up a little bit later today with Brian Overby, a.k.a. the Options Guy. Actually, I take it back. We do have one broker relationship on the network. That's with Ally Invest. That's a long-standing one. But I will say this. Brian's book is awesome. It is called literally the Options Playbooks. I don't know which other playbooks you're referring to. As far as I know, he's the only one out there. And it breaks down options pretty much A to Z in that kind of playbook format, offensive and defensive plays. And the cool thing about it, that you don't need to buy it. You can buy it on Amazon if you want, but they also have a website, optionsplaybook.com, and it's all there. So they made it really easy for you to access and utilize this stuff and learn on your own speed. So that to me is the playbook, and I, sponsor or not, I would still heartily recommend that book. It's a great way to kind of get up to speed in options in a very communicative, informal, and easy to understand style. That said, Dan, Colin likes your books. You put them on the wish list. Anything you want to add here for Colin, sir?
Yeah, thanks, Colin. I appreciate you putting the books on the wish list. To tell you the truth, I learned options by being down on the floor, having like a mentor instruct me. In fact, really lots of mentors instruct me. So I honestly haven't read that many options books. The one that I always recommend is the Natenberg book. But I don't think that that's what you're looking for. That's definitely not a playbook. It's more like a real deep dive into volatility. It's pretty cerebral, not really a step-by-step book at all. So yeah, I guess I'm not of too much help on that.
Yeah, I like Natenberg too, but it's a little bit more dense. It's a dense options tome. I wouldn't call it a play-by-play analysis of the options market. But hey, options volatility and trading, it was kind of the handbook everyone got when you walked on the floor of the CBOE. They say, here you go, kid. Read this book. Come back when you know something. So it definitely is a great one. Playbook style, not so much, Colin. So yeah, Colin, I definitely recommend the titular Options Playbook. And if you also want to go check out, in fact, everyone listening to this show, if you're not listening to Options Playbook as well, it's a short 15, 20-minute show, usually every week. You're missing out. Great stuff there. It's a great corollary to this show in terms, really just a nice addendum to, you like to listen to education, you want a little bit more in your lives. It's the other half, quite frankly, of Education Wednesday. It's Education Wednesday because of Options Bootcamp and also Options Playbook Radio. But that music, Dan, means we're done for this week. By the way, funny, Dan, I know on our last episode a few weeks ago, you kept our sensors busy with the buzzing. We had to bleep you out a few times. Apparently the folks like that. They like Dan dropping a little F-bombs there, Dan. I didn't realize that. So apparently we got a lot of fun responses. I can't find any of them now, of course, because the show is wrapping up. But one guy sent in a great gif of Will Ferrell. I love it. He loved Dan dropping the F-bombs. There were a few other ones out there as well that really liked. So apparently, Dan, when you work a little blue, people like it, sir.
Well, I guess that'll be the new me, the blue-hatted one.
Oh, here it is. Michael Smith. He wrote, damn, Dan dropping the F-bombs today. And he put a great gif of Will Ferrell saying, I love it. And there were a bunch of others that had similar sentiments. That one just leaps to mind because he had a cool gif with it. So there you go, Dan. Work blue. It works to your benefit, apparently. All right, so if folks want to check out the land of MTM, sir, what can they expect? What's coming up?
Well, let's see here, Mark. We've always got something coming up. What do we have coming up? Working on some new, we were talking about scanners. I've been kind of working on a bunch of those. We rolled one out about a month ago. And working on some more that are proprietary scanners just for our students. And we always like to make sure they work really, really great before we roll them out. And I get really excited when we do.
And also, I know on our last episode, you mentioned a webinar coming up, Earnings Volatility. Too late for our listeners of this show to check that out. But is there a way for them to get an archive of that after the fact, sir?
Yeah, if you are on our email list, and anybody who joins as a free member, we send you out emails of archived recordings and our weekly newsletter. So you can just go over to markettaker.com and just click join free. And you'll be able to get a copy of the recorded webinar.
There you go. Check it out for yourselves. MarketTaker2Ts.com is the place to go. And don't go anywhere if you're listening live, because we have Brian coming up a little bit later today. Colin, especially you there. Options Playbook Radio is coming up later today. You should definitely be checking that. I can't speak to any other Options Playbooks. I haven't seen them, but I can speak to Brian's. It's a good one. And if you're worried about shady actors, he's definitely not a shady actor. So check it out. You can also listen to the accompanying show on our network. You get a nice twofer. And you can't beat the price. It's all free. So check it out there as well. And on behalf of Mr. Dan, and let's go for Mr. Overby as well, because he's coming up later today, and indeed myself. I thank all of you out there for downloading, streaming, subscribing, for listening live, for sending in those questions. Keep them coming. Remember, if you like to get stuff live in person, ask questions, get bumped to the top of the list, Options Insider Plus is the place to go. If you want even more content, including great pro Q&A sessions, then Options Insider Pro is the place to go. Otherwise, we'll see you back here later today for Brian. And then, of course, later on tomorrow, of course, and this week for Option Block, TWIFO, Vol Views, and Options Oddities. And then we're back again next Education Wednesday, another episode of Options Bootcamp.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.